Welcome to Reading Rule, y'all, where we talk about all things rural YA literature and to the rural authors who write it. I'm your host, Dr. Shay Parton, and I'm excited to talk to you about today's topic at hand. If you're a teacher, student, or community member in a rural community, my hope is that the content here honors you and your experiences by discussing and analyzing books that can serve as a mirror for you. If you're an urban or suburban teacher, student, or community member, this series is for you too, and I hope that it can provide nuance to the stereotypical depictions of rural people so often seen in popular media. So come on in, and let's get to it. I am so excited for today's episode about teaching ideas for Kalynn Bayron's Whippoorwill-winning This Poison Heart. Y'all, I'm so excited. One of my favorite aspects of this podcast is getting to dream up all the fun things that students and I could do together to deeply engage and critically think about and consider what it looks like and means and is to be rural and or to live rural through these books. This one especially speaks to me because in my rural English class as a 7th grader or maybe 8th grader, we did a Greek unit where I learned so much, including the Greek alphabet, which I actually still have memorized. It's one of my favorite party tricks. Shout out to Pamme Meier-Fisher for being the best English teacher ever and inspiring me to be a teacher. Without her, none of this would exist. Anyway, I was obsessed with Greek mythology after that. I loved all the stories and how they were used to explain natural phenomena. So This Poison Heart really rekindled that love for me. And on top of that, there's plants. Lots and lots of plants. Their scientific names and everything. The best thing about spring is getting to put your hands in the dirt, in my humble opinion. So this book really spoke to me on that level too. And then all of that combined with trying to figure out who you are in a rural place, like this book has it all. So if I were to teach this book, I would want to tap into all those things, just in connection to students' lived experiences. After reading the book, I'd ask students to engage in a creative assessment that I'd call the Mythology of Me. And it'd have a few different parts. So here they are. In the book, Bree and her biological family have ties to Greek deities. It's where her power comes from, and I'd argue that who we come from, even as mere mortals, can also be a source of our own power. But in this case, rather than do a sort of family history, students would research gods and goddesses of whatever mythology they'd like. Greek, Roman, Egyptian, Celtic, Persian, African, whatever they were interested in. And then they decide who they'd be related to based on what they believe is their greatest power and strength. So the way that I would sort of work up to this is, first, I'd have students write in their writer's notebooks. I love keeping writer's notebooks and reader's notebooks. I do that for just my own personal self in my own reading and writing life. But I also did them with students. And if you want to know more about those, you can check out the work of Randy Bomer. I plug building adolescent literacy in today's English classrooms all the time. It's so good. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you do. So anyway, I would have students write in their writer's notebooks to think through what traits they believe make them the strongest. Are they compassionate and caring? Can they make things grow? Are they tenacious and have unmatched perseverance? Or are they funny and able to make people laugh? Or are they good hunters and fishermen and carpenters? I mean, there are so many options here. So after they have identified their trait, they'll need to figure out how and with whom and where that trait lives in the mythology that they're interested in. So what Greek god or goddess sort of fits their trait in particular. Once they identify their god or goddess relative, they would then write a short piece that included a description of the god or goddess, as well as how they can tell they're related. And this could take any number of forms of writing. You could do essay, short story, poem. It could be multimodal. It could be a video. It could be a song. Like, there's a lot of stuff that students could do with this. And it could also include stories from the mythology connected to the god or goddess that they chose, and or their real lives to establish the connections that they see between the two of them. essentially they'd be drawing from the mythos and also their real lives to show how they're connected to the deity that they chose because of the trait that they have. So that's part number one. The second part would concern sort of the guardianship that Bree is and her family is entrusted with. So the second major part of Bree's deific ancestors is that it gave her the ability to withstand the most deadly plants on Earth, the deadliest plants on Earth, and it made her family then keeper and protector of one of those plants. I hope I'm not giving too much away here. Mrs. Meier-Fisher used to say, with great power comes great responsibility. And in this case, in this book, and in our lives, we are all guardians of something while we're on this earth. So the second part of the assignment would be to consider what that is for students, what part of the vast universe has been entrusted to them, and how do they guard and protect it with their power that they identified. For example, hunters and fishermen are inherent environmentalists. They're trusted with keeping ecological balance and only taking certain animals at certain times of the year, etc. So, once students have identified what power has been entrusted them, they should then write in their notebooks to identify who or what it is that they are meant to guard and protect with that power. After they've identified this, then they'd write to describe how they use their power to protect it. So that's part number 2. Then the third and final part connects to Bree and how Bree and her family have always worked to serve their community. With their knowledge of an ability to cultivate plants, and this is both her biological family and her adopted moms, because her moms run a flower shop, and the introductory, the first pages of the book sort of detail how they're helping a man grieve by having these particular flowers that his wife loved every time he comes in the shop to go put them on her gravestone. So both her adopted family and her biological family have worked to serve their community. With their knowledge of an ability to cultivate plants of various medicinal uses, Bree and her family have run both a flower shop, and also her biological family has run an apothecary out of the family's country manor for people of their small town. Folks come to them for help and healing, and this connects in substantial ways to the guardianship bestowed on them, but it isn't exactly the same thing. So for this part, students would explore how they use their power to serve their community. How do they support the people, the infrastructure, the culture, etc. of where they're from? So once they have these 3 pieces sorted out, they'll put it all together in a creative way that makes the most sense for who they are. They could do a multimedia presentation, they could do a video or a film, they could do a zine, they could do a song, they could do a comic book, they could do some poetry, a poetry collection, and then whatever it is that they do and they choose to exhibit, I would welcome the community to a Mythology of Me exhibition where school and community members could come and see the wealth of strengths that students bring to the community. And then hopefully maybe in some coalitions and partnerships, put those strengths to use to continue to grow and better the community and the people that we all serve. So that is how I would do it. And dang, if this doesn't sound so much fun, I want to do this for myself now. Who'd you be related to? It'd be fun if you would sound off in the comments. If you catch a wild hair and decide to teach this, drop me a line. I'd love to know how it goes. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode. If you like what you heard and want to support the show and keep it a viable endeavor for me, it'd be great if you would like and comment on the YouTube episode. You could talk about what you liked most or what you walked away with. It'd also help if you'd subscribe to the channel. You can also head over to the Support Us page on the Literacy in Place website. There you can learn about all the different ways you can support this work. Like, you can like and follow the website itself, find out where to engage with us via social media, and go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Or you could shop our storefront on bookshop.org to get the book featured in this episode or any other books that catch your eye. You could also buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com and donate once or set up a recurring donation. All of this would be immensely helpful in keeping this show going. So thanks a bunch for doing what you can. Well, that's it for this episode. Until next time, y'all come back now, would ya?